Well, thank you for joining us for this conversation. And we now talk about the University of Professional Studies Accra's annual leadership lecture, which provides an intellectual platform where distinguished individuals critically examine and deliberate on leadership challenges and proffer solutions. We have the problems, but what are the solutions? Now, this year, the theme is going to be tragic of the common, leadership for the common good. Tragic of the common, leadership for the common good. Now, considering the period in which the world finds itself, including Ghana, we're not an island, there is the need to reflect on quality leadership on all fronts, that is personal, corporate, community, district, regional, and even national levels to help navigate the turbulent times. Well, this year, what a fitting personality for the keynote address. The speaker is His Eminence, Cardinal Peter Appiah Turkson, or better still, as we Catholics would put it, Peter Cardinal Appiah Turkson. And of course, joining us in the studio, we have our guest, Dr. Korio Enim Wright, who is Registrar of the University of Professional Studies, Accra. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you so much for having us.
Even before we delve into the real substantive matter, you've come a long way from being the Institute for Professional Studies to becoming the University for Professional Studies, Accra, and all of that. Just walk us through, what is the story of IPS, now UPSA, been?
Well, it's been a great one. I mean, many people who come to the campus now can't believe the transformation that the campus has been through. But we started as a correspondence school, so to speak, with all these programs like ACCA, CIMG, and eventually we morphed into this wonderful university that we currently find ourselves in.
Right.
Now we offer doctoral programs, master's programs, bachelor's programs. We still have the diploma programs, and we have even stayed true to our origins, meaning that we still have an Institute for Professional Studies, IPS, that focuses on all the chartered programs. So we may have grown a lot, we may have been transformed, we have been progressive, but we still remain at our core what a lot of people know us for, which is providing excellent education.
And it's really interesting looking at the 70s and everything that was done and how eventually the state,
Yes.
took over, and it's quite an interesting story, really. And indeed, the core mandate has been kept. But let's talk about this lecture that
Yes.
we're about to have. Since when? 2017?
Since 2017, and the whole idea is to bring eminent leaders who can talk to us about issues and offer solutions to things that are facing us on a regular basis. Over the years, I'm sure if somebody asks you, have you had time to sit and reflect on some of the major issues and challenges? The answer is no. We are going. This gives us all a chance to stop, pause, and listen to leaders in the field talk to us about some of these really challenging issues that are facing us and that we all grapple with on a daily basis.
So I do not know, over the last few years, there's been a lot of talk about COVID-19, the Russia-Ukrainian war, and of course, the economic turmoil that we currently face. Are these some of those issues you're contemplating as we have this lecture?
I think this is probably why His Eminence is an amazing pick for this time, because we've all been through so much. People are raw because of the pandemic that just hit us. We all have the entire world, everybody going through some sort of global economic crisis. And you almost want to see yourself as an individual. I think his being here and the talk he's going to take us through reminds us about our interconnectedness and the commonality of our humanity, and that we need to focus on that first rather than just striving to survive. But how do we exist in this complex situation that we find ourselves in this complex environment, and how do we touch each other and really help each other rather than just focusing on what we need and how we can actually get through it alone.
Now, let's just go back in history a bit. Since 2017, these lectures have been organized, and pretty prominent figures. Dr. Ibn Chambers has been there, the UN Secretary General's representative back then for West Africa and the Sahel. Then we had Otumfuo Osei Tutu. We had John Ejekum Kufuor, former presidents, before Otumfuo Osei Tutu.
Yes.
That's quite a list that you have there. What has gone into selecting these keynote speakers?
Interestingly enough, I think the Times have chosen the speakers for us. The period in which we were in, for example, the logical choice and the only choice in our opinion was His Eminence. And when we first started, I think we were talking a lot about youth empowerment, and that was when Ibn Chambers came up also and had the conversation with us. President Kufuor was very interested in governance, in terms of good governance, and how the governance process in Ghana is doing vis-a-vis the governance structure globally. And of course, Otumfuo, I mean, there's never a bad time to have Otumfuo. There's always a good time to have Otumfuo. And I'm proud to say that he's a graduate of UPSA. So he was more than happy to come and also speak to us about leadership. So leadership is the core topic we want to focus on, because I think people misunderstand the word. There are lots of people in positions, but very few people are leaders. And I think it's important for us to listen to these eminent scholars who have become leaders in their own right. So leadership is something you earn. It's a respective into you based on how you carry yourself in the position that you have.
You can have CEOs and the others. It doesn't necessarily mean they have leadership or they're leaders.
No,
right.
and so these individuals, these 4 people that we've chosen, are clear leaders in their fields. And how and what they tell us allow those who aspire to be leaders be able to put the points together to allow them to reach that goal.
So it's interesting, now that you've already started with the topic, tragic of the common, leadership for the common good. And the topic is specific, and it's couched in a specific way for specific effect. Tragic of the common, leadership for the common good. Just break it down for us a bit. Tragic of the common, leadership for the common good. What went into selecting this topic that His Eminence will be speaking on?
Well, His Eminence chose the topic, so I can only infer what he may be thinking about. I think in this time that we find ourselves, a lot of people believe that the leadership in all the nations in the world have to rise to the occasion to get us through. In so doing, we realize that not everybody has the capacity or the ability. And I think what he means by the topic is that leadership is not common. So although we have a lot of leaders around
Right.
us, the ability to excel and to break from the pack and to actually lead us, we the people, to where we need to be is what leaders have to understand, that it is not a common trait. You have to strive at it, you have to work at it, and you have to get there to be able to pull people along. That's what I think is in his mind when he wants to talk to us about, the common leadership, the tragic of the word common, and that leadership is not common. It's something that you really have to work at to be able to get your people where you want them to be.
I'm going to ask you a bit of a question. I don't know whether I'm straying from the main subject, but looking at the context of what we're discussing, and it's reflective of Ghana generally, and maybe even other countries, because the people you've been inviting are international figures. What do you see when you look at our own contexts, from religion to politics to education to everything in between, in terms of leadership?
I think there are certain paths on which one finds oneself that you can never really get to the end. And so for everyone in leadership positions, it's a growth process. What we all have to do is have the ability to listen, to hear what those who are following us are saying, and see how we can meet them halfway or all the way. And sometimes we don't meet them at all because what they are saying isn't something that is worth doing or should be done or would get us in the wrong place. But I think that all leaders, wherever we find ourselves, need to hone in the ability to stay in touch with those that we are leading, so that we can empathize with them, we can show them the way when the time arrives and when they need us to really rise to the occasion.
What are you hoping will be, what are your expectations as far as this lecture series is concerned? In the end, what are you hoping will be the impact of this lecture?
Everyone is in very difficult times right now, and I think somehow we need a touchstone. And I'm hoping that His Eminence provides that touchstone. that globalizes everything, put things in context, and gives us concrete steps on how, if we can't get out of it, how we can face it. Because sometimes when you're faced with tragedy, there are certain traits that you need to have to be able to overcome it. So if nothing at all, I'm hoping that his words will be comforting and that we'll find a way to get out of the situation that we all find ourselves globally with some dignity, with some honor, and with some clear steps on how we get out of it.
We'll be talking about the program outline, among others, but looking at the order of proceedings, we're talking about the welcome address to be delivered by the Vice Chancellor, and we also have the keynote address. Then we have a timeless tribute of faith and hope by Professor Kofi Abochi. He is your Dean of the Faculty of Law, right? Okay.
Yes. So he wrote an amazing poem that talks about UPSA's growth and transformation.
Okay.
And we thought it fitting that at a time when we are in the process of talking about growth, transformation, and how we get out of difficult situations, that we use that poem also as a showcase of how UPSA has been able to, in its small way, come out of some very interesting situations in which we found ourselves in the past.
Some scrapes, huh?
Yes.
Every institution has those. Every institution has those.
We do.
Before we get into the rest of the program, the dates, the time, and all of that, I also noticed that, well, you have quite a lot to celebrate. I'm just taking a look at your UPSA at a glance. Your Vice Chancellor was awarded Best CEO in Education at the Ghana CEO Vision and Awards Gala. You can talk about your Times Higher Education ratings. There's also the number of academic programs which have increased by 47% since 2017.
Yes.
Let's take a look at that. And it is indeed true. You are growing at such an exponential rate. Yes. What is going on in the UPSA? What's your secret?
Well, I think we have to start with our Vice Chancellor, who has an abundance of energy, and he just keeps going. And I think what drives him also is the looking out there and what the needs are in terms of the youth, in terms of the Ghana's growth, and what programs will be able to meet the growth. And he believes that UPSA is a professional institution and has a great role to play. Maybe not great, but an important role to play. And that starts with grooming and training and educating our youth. And so from that standpoint, that I believe is what's driving the number of programs that we have. And we also wanted to grow our doctoral programs, which we didn't have initially. So we've been able to also do that in this process. We also have new programs in communication. Communication was not a program that we had a lot of degrees in the past. We do now have an MBA in corporate communications. We do just got an MPhil in digital communications, I think, and also an MBA in digital communications. So onward and upwards, I think, where UPSA is concerned.
I got interestingly, a lot of people don't know that, I got a postgraduate certificate from the UPSA in forensic and investigative psychology. I was part of the first batch.
Goodness.
Yeah, this is many years ago. This was like 2014, 2015.
Well, we'll come back to you for alumni dues.
If I want to start paying, I'll pay everywhere. But we also know 4 of your alumni topped the Deloitte Ghana Graduate Academy 2022 trainee program. A bit about that? That's quite an exploit.
It is. I mean, it's something that we celebrated a lot on campus, and it's something that I think we are very proud of. Our students are stars. They come to our campus, some of them green, and they leave amazingly ready to tackle this world that we're all into right now. So we're very proud of those 4 students, and we wish them all the best.
I'm just looking at as well, before we get ready to wrap, the 20,131 students that you have. I'm just looking at it because the more established, so to speak, I mean, the University of Ghana, KNUST have been around for so many more decades. But 20,131 is quite a number, looking at the pressure on our tertiary institutions in terms of applications, and then in terms of the shrink when it comes to acceptance because of a lack of accommodation facilities, lecture facilities, and all of that. How is the UPSA handling that? When I pass by your stretch, I see your hostels, your new establishments. Is that the trick? Is that how you're handling all of this?
Well, we have 2 hostels that are coming up and should be ready. One is already ready, so we have 2 now, and a third one will be ready hopefully by the end of this year. If you also pass by the campus, you've seen the 2 twin towers that were twin tower building, 10-story buildings that are connected.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, they're going to be classroom buildings.
I see.
Mainly focused on, really to address the growth in numbers that we are seeing. But we also, like all universities, have blended teaching due to the COVID. So that's also
So it's a hybrid teaching environment,
that's also
partly virtual, partly physical.
Partly, and I think all institutions are doing that right now. I think eventually we'll all go back to physical, but for now, easing people into coming back, we still have some semblance of some hybrid situation taking place, more physical than not, but that also helps with managing the numbers.
Okay, so let's talk about the core program. We know that the keynote speaker is going to be His Eminence Peter Cardinal Appiah Turkson, and we know what he's going to be talking about as well. Tragic of the common, leadership for the common good. How do we get there? Of course, we have our expectations, but walk us through what else we can expect on the program, and maybe we can also get to know when this is happening and where as well.
So this will happen November 9th, which is Wednesday,
right.
10 a.m., and we're asking our guests to be seated between 9 and 9:30.
Okay.
It will be happening on our campus at the Dr. Kofi Ohene-Konadu Auditorium. The program we're keeping very tight because it's not one with a lot of superfluous things. The speaker is
straight to the
really
point.
Focused, exactly. The speaker is our focus. So we try to keep it really targeted and focused on what we are all there for, to listen to what His Eminence has to say. So I think all of us need to be appreciative of the fact that he found time in his schedule to really attend.
He's a very busy man.
He is, to really attend this, and we are grateful, and we do hope that a lot of people will come out there and listen to what he has to say. He's one of those proud stars of Ghana. We're very proud of him, and we are looking forward to the words of wisdom and nuggets that he'll provide to us on that day.
For those of you who don't have a profile of him, I mean, there's so much we could say, but he has been chairman of the Ghana chapter of the Conference of Religions for Peace, 2003 to 2007, the Ghana National Peace Council, 2006 to 2010, and of course, how can you miss this one? On October 24, 2009, he was nominated President of the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace, a position he occupied for a long time. Maybe we'll just talk about the sponsors, and we're right in the thick of things.
Yes.
Joy 99.7
Yes.
FM, Joy News, Joy Prime, Joy Online, myjoyonline.com, Joy Business, Joy Entertainment, Joy Sports, and Hits 103.9 FM. All of us powering this enterprise. We're large and in charge, as always. Having said all of that, is it open to the general public?
Yes.
Is it, I mean, give us the scenario.
Yes, so these programs are open to the general public. Of course, we'll have members of the UPSA family, but it's primarily a national event. That's how we bill it. So everyone is welcome to attend. You don't need to RSVP. If you want to RSVP, you can send an email to events@upsamail.edu.gh. But otherwise, you're all welcome to attend. And as I mentioned, everybody should please be seated between 9 and 9:30. We would like to start it on time, and we would like to make sure that people get the most out of the situation.
Right, but there will be some limits, assuming your hall gets full.
Well, our hall is about 3,000. We can sit 3,500. So I'm pretty sure we'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right. Yes. So you just heard, it's open to all of us. If you want to attend, you actually can attend. Just show up on Wednesday. Be there between 9 and 9:30 a.m. Of course, at 10 on the dot, according to the program, this will start. And the keynote speaker is His Eminence Peter Cardinal Appiah Turkson. Final words? As Ghanaians anticipate this, august event, what can they look forward to on Wednesday?
Well, I think that we all need to come together and hear what His Eminence has to say. This is a time where everybody needs something to hold on to. And I'm very sure that in addition to holding on and hanging on to his every word, he'll be able to provide us with practical information that we'll be able to use in our everyday lives. So everyone is welcome. We hope to see you all on Wednesday at 9:30 at the Dr. Kofi Ohene-Konedu Auditorium on the UPSA campus. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure hosting you. Thank you so much for coming, and we can wish you the very best on this day as you organize this fourth one. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Right. Okay.
You've had what? Dr. Ibn Chambers, you've had former President Kufuor, you've had Otumfuo Asiedu, and now His Eminence Peter Cardinal Appiah Turkson.
Yes.
Wow, what a list.
Thank you.
What a list.
Thank you.
Dr. Korio Enim Wright is Registrar for the University of Professional Studies, Accra. She joined me for this conversation. It's been refreshing. Yes, we need that new pep when it comes to leadership in our country. But moving on from there, we're going to be interacting with you on what you've been sharing with us via social media and what your thoughts are on the issues, the discussions we've been having today. We'll activate the phone lines as well with Mapito CBD. Mind you, today we've been looking at the Kumi Preko demonstration and the outcome of it. We've had Professor Kwejo Epieje-Etua, who joined the conversation. He had his own very interesting thoughts on this matter. He feels government is doing a lot of engaging in PR gimmicks rather than solving problems. We had in the studio Paul Gwe-Boachidankwa, who is basically the government's spokesperson on governance and security. We also had Adib Sani, who was there. He's a security analyst, but he partook in the demonstration, sharing their thoughts. On the back of that, we also had our conversation on education and how some of these unions are saying, no, we don't want the new Director General. He's not a teacher, and we don't want him. What are your thoughts on these matters as far as anything else emanating from the economy? Share with us after the break with Mapito CBD. Do stay.